Hey guys, so I decided to do the supernatural tag, but I looked at it and I didn't really like some of the questions, so I made my own and I scribbled it on the back of something, so that's why all those are crossed out because it's like phone numbers. So I'll just read the ones that I came up with and tell you what I think. When did I start watching? I started watching pretty much right away with this show. I think the first episode I saw was Bugs, and then I was able to like go back and see the other ones that were before that, but that was pretty close to the beginning. Yeah. Which character do I feel that I can relate to the most? See, there's obviously that bit of an age difference. Like, the boys are a little bit older than I am. I'm probably more like the age they were when they maybe started. I'm 22 now. People, change over time and they grow up and stuff, so I don't know who I can relate to the most. I guess Joe Harville, but I don't know. I think maybe I'm a little, I don't know. How do I feel about Slash? To each his own, but like when you get into a conversation with somebody about the show, and I feel like a lot of them are very abrasive, like people who seem to like it, they're very aggressive towards people who don't. Yeah. And honestly, I just feel like the whole incest, like, brothers, no, it's not for me. Um, what are my fears now, and what fears did I have as a kid? Um, I mean, some of my fears are obviously the same, like losing family and stuff like that, because my family is pretty important to me, and I did go through a bit of a loss, I would say like 7 months ago. Actually, it might be longer than that, but yeah. And then like, I don't like heights very much. I don't know if it's necessarily a fear, but I definitely get anxious about it. We kind of live in Appalachia, so there's a lot of like railroad bridges that are like abandoned, and you just have to like get around a fence because they blocked off the front so people can't cross because it's like dangerous and they don't want people falling because some of the wood's rotted and stuff. But if you get around like the chain link fence, then you can walk across. And well, to be honest, I don't live in Appalachia. I live like closer to like where DC is, but my parents own like a cabin, so that's up in the mountains. So, what fears did I have as a kid? As a kid, I used to have this really awful, like, reoccurring dream where I remember it just being like this big green monster, and it used to eat me every night, and I used to, like, wake up. Shut up. You guys had these too. They were absolutely freaking terrifying. Imagine, Okay. Which storylines did I dislike, and which storylines did I like, and which do I feel like I could do without? I totally wrote that wrong. That's my dyslexia, so when I tried to read it back, I botched it. Like, I feel like a lot of the times when you're a writer and you have ideas, there's things that work very well on paper, and there's things that don't translate well to being filmed. For me, that one of them was a Leviathan idea, which I felt like was probably a great idea on paper, but it was a storyline that maybe really did drop the ball, and it kind of, the character was just a dick, to be funny about the whole thing. The Apocalypse storyline was good. The storyline now with Kane seems to be pretty good, but as they're reaching now towards the end of the season, it makes you wonder how they're like gonna try and wrap things up or tie things up so they don't leave a lot of That's what the show tends to do, is they don't tend to like wrap up a lot of their storylines. They're like, let's just get to the next. So I do really like the show. But that's like a complaint I guess I have about it. How do you feel about the way the show has handled topics like faith and sexuality? See, I've definitely expressed that I've been uncomfortable a little bit with the way the media has handled like faith. Um, but I also feel like if I were to feel uncomfortable with something that is fictional like that, then I must not have like a very strong faith in myself, like, or like what I believe in to like be comfortable. Like, I guess the one reservation I have is that it has become a bit of a punchline. Not necessarily just in Supernatural, but maybe it's not as sensitive as it should be. I mean, I guess you always have these ideas of the way angels are supposed to be, and the whole like wrathful God, and like people, I don't know. It's a touchy subject, but obviously like I've expressed my displeasure about it before, and it's a pretty polarizing one. As far as like sexuality goes, again, I'm pretty comfortable with mine, even though like I'm pretty also inexperienced in that department. But it's a TV show, and I don't really have a problem with it. I feel like when they do have it in the show, it sometimes it's God, I always like fumble over words, things that I want to say. But people, the one thing that they keep going back to is the virgins thing, and that can get really annoying. We're not prudefull, first off. It's just a choice. How do I feel about the brothers' relationship? Again, people develop. It's been what, like 9 years since like they've been doing this job. So of course things are going to change, and you're definitely going to hit your rocky moments. I think anybody who has siblings knows that there's definitely a lot of trying things, but as far as like the show goes, yeah, of course he's going to feel betrayed, and of course he's going to be hurt. I mean, I guess one of the things is that people say like they feel very fed up with the way they feel like the only way they can get conflict is in the show is by creating conflict between the brothers. Yeah, it kind of does feel like the show's been doing that a lot. What is my opinion on gun control? And do you feel like shows like Supernatural like set a bad example? My feeling on gun control is this. I feel a lot of people who aren't educated about it are more likely to make mistakes and to have a curiosity about it. And having that education about firearms, knives, any sorts of weapons it just makes you more comfortable around it. And you know, I'm not saying go out there and shoot a gun and get your certificates and everything like that. I'm saying if you don't want to, that's fine, but don't sit there and like demonize me for the way that I grew up. Like I said, my parents own a cabin. I grew up with, I guess you could say, a lot of hunter types, like friends with my dad's and stuff, who will make the grips and stuff. I'm not going to show you mine on camera. I've taken photographs of some of mine because I was asked not to by my uncle when he was still alive, and I'm going to respect his opinions and not put them on there. I don't feel like I have to. As for me, like, I understand completely, like, not leaving a kid around it. Whenever I do have kids in the house, they're either locked up, put away, or if I do have one out because I'm cleaning it or something, it doesn't have bullets anywhere near it. It doesn't have the firing pins in it, and I completely have them dismantled, so they're pretty much just pieces of metal. So also, I feel like I have a right to defend myself if I need to, and I feel comfortable enough with the skills that I've received and gotten over the years that I can do that. And I understand it's a tool. So that's my opinion on that. What lore would I like to see on the show? I feel like every idea I've had, pretty much, like, even ones that I've, like, jotted down, have pretty much appeared on there. The Thin Man one was not what we thought it was going to be as fans, because a lot of us might have been a little disappointed that it didn't end up actually being a feature, but it shows that I guess people can be monsters too. And it also showed a little bit of maybe a lack of humanity with Dean, and maybe the way this Kane thing is changing him. I like a lot of the classic lore, I guess, that we maybe saw in the earlier seasons. It's hard to choose, like, because there's so much of it out there. Being from Virginia, we have a lot of banshees, so maybe something with that. Not that we have a lot of banshees, but there's a lot of, like, lore about them in places. Because I don't really believe in it. I know it's, you know, I view it as fiction. Not everyone can drive an Impala, so what do I drive? I drive I think it's it's an 89 Jeep Cherokee. I've had some accidents in my Jeep, but I always feel comfortable in it, because the accidents that I've been in, my car looks like it barely has a scratch on it, and the other little plastic cars that'll hit me, the entire front end will be gone, so I feel good in mine. They say they have a problem with, like, the Jeeps being rear-ended, but I've been, like, exploding because of where the gas tank are, but I've checked my Jeep out, and I don't think that really applies to mine. Has this show influenced the way I act or dress? Maybe some of, like, the quotes that I've said, or, like, I'll pick little things up, but I feel like I'm pretty much an individual. Like, I'm just myself. I like wearing sweatpants, and just, like, I'll pick things up at, like, thrift stores. I like leather jackets, which I probably would have never worn leather a couple years ago. What actor would I like to see in an episode? I don't know. I guess, like, the kid who plays Joffrey in Game of Thrones. I know he says he's probably going to stop acting, and I guess I can understand why, because he feels like maybe he's been typecasted as, like, that bitchy guy, and just kind of like an evil person. But I think that's what makes a good actor, if you can be that believable in your character, that people really hate you or really love you, then I think you've definitely done your job, and I don't think he should stop acting. I like to see him do some more stuff, so yeah, I think he could bring something pretty cool to Supernatural. If you were in Sam and Dean's world, could you survive? And I wrote word instead of world. I think I'm a pretty tough cookie, but, like, I can definitely stand up for myself and stuff, but I don't think I could survive against, like, the monsters in Supernatural now. probably have to be dead or be rescued. Let's just be perfectly honest about that situation. So, I don't really know anybody to tag, so I'll leave the questions below, and you could either, like, answer them by typing it out, or you can respond with a video. And I'm sorry if that was a little bit awkward, but I'm still kind of bad at this, like, talking to a camera thing. I'm getting better at it. I totally dropped the paper. Alright, well, thanks again.